Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. And today's video, I've been asked a lot of times about retrofitting doors and windows in existing buildings. Well, lucky you, today we get to do just that. I'm excited, so let's get into this. All right, so first off, coming right on the inside, this is where we were just standing. We removed the insulation. We have everything here that's already done, and we need to get a doorway in here. The first thing I'm thinking about is, we got concrete, we got existing framing. Is everything level and plumb? So I've got my level. I'm gonna check my post because the client wants the door as close to this post as possible, and I don't believe it. It's actually really plumb, so good for this builder. And then also this door is gonna be sitting on this existing concrete. So I'm just gonna put my level here. You know, there's a little bit of a gap down here in the middle, but overall in this 4 foot, we're looking really level. Now, I'm gonna say we're pretty lucky. If you are in this situation and posts aren't level, concrete's not level, good luck, because it's gonna not be as fun. But it's still doable. You're just gonna have to do something to level out the ground, whether that's adding some framing that the door is gonna set up on that is shimmed or something like that, or you could even shim the door perfectly level and then do some mortar underneath of it and kind of like tuck point it later. If that's your experience, you're gonna have to do something like that, but for us, we're pretty lucky. So the next thing that we need to do is do our layout, and I like to try and do as much work before we actually tear off this steel. Sometimes we can get away without tearing it off, and we will see how this progresses. Layout is key. Now, I can see right here, here's my joints. I've got a full panel here. Customer wants it as close to this post as possible, and 20 1/8 is the center of my door frame. So I like to be on the center of a rib. This will allow me to get past my rib. So when I put my trims, I'm gonna be in a flat, which you'll see later is an important thing. So this actually works out really nice. Everything so far is going swimmingly, and that's not always the case. I'm gonna make a quick mark here at center, and I'm gonna go 40 1/2. That's my rough opening. So this is where we're gonna wanna do our framing. Let's set up the laser on these points. You can obviously take a level and we can plumb it down, which while Greg is getting that side set up, I'll go ahead and do that just so you guys can see what I'm doing. All right, so I'm just going to make some marks. You can see it takes me a little time to line up my level versus Greg put the laser here, and I can just very quickly line up. And this one I won't be able to do that as well. Actually, let's do it like this. Okay, so now I've established where I'm going to be putting the framing for this door. Now we need to go remove some screws on the old steel so we can get saws in and make this cutout. Because this door is a universal, you see the threshold thickness? Okay. We're only just over 1/2 inch. This is my bottom, that's my top. On the inside, if we're gonna do the jamb extension and make that trimmed out, we need to make this a little bit taller so that we have more room. Does that make sense? Yeah, give me 2 boards at 82, and I'm going to mark here from my concrete up. Oh, this is miserable. We're right above this board. So, all right, we're not gonna worry about that quite yet. And then I'll get this top header measurement, which is gonna go right here.
These are some nice boards you picked out.
Thank you. 90 3/4. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and get our 2 jam boards and our top header board cut. And then actually we might be able to tack these in place from here before we even go out. I think that's gonna work. Greg, what about we pull a couple screws, push these out enough to run the saw and just make our cuts? You know, the thing to note, guys, is that it's kind of like with any remodel job, if you get it to a point where it looks like new construction, then it's pretty easy, right? So if you already know how to install a door, I'm just always thinking, how do I get to the point where this opening or this wall is just like a new construction thing, and then I kind of put it all back together as new. I've got all this material, all these things that are in my way, the concrete that's already here, the post that's already here that I didn't install, so I couldn't make it level. How do I get everything to where I like a nice framed opening? And then I can install the door like every door install and then put it all back together like we do on every building. So we're just kind of going through saying, how can we make it exactly like we want it to put the door in and do it as easy as possible with as little bit of work as possible. That's the goal. Just want to barely make it through this lumber, and I'm going to probably need to check every piece because there's no guarantee that they're all the exact same dimension, but maybe they are. This building's probably 30 years old. See, by doing this, look at that. I can get back behind here, no problem. So all I'm gonna do.
Can we help you?
Nah, that's golden, dude.
I can't do anything without that saw.
Oh, you can't? We got trims back here. So there's a piece of trim on this guy. I won't be able to do that one. I'm gonna have to, let's make this easier. While Greg's making some cuts with the saw, let's go outside and pull some screws. And that should make our job a little bit easier. Hey, Greg.
What?
They freaking nailed the top of the wainscot.
The top of the wainscot's nailed?
Yes, this is nailed on.
No way.
Yep, so we're gonna have to remove this piece of trim. So
You have a metal multi-tool blade?
All right, so I'm just gonna start pulling screws. Oh, that one was barely in there. Look at that. Huh. And we're only gonna pull off really what we need. I'll probably just put new screws in anyway. These things are garbage. Oh, look at that. They didn't even nail that, I don't think. Huh, this might not be as bad as I thought. We'll see. Let's see what happens here. They had to have put one nail in this, didn't they?
No way.
Ah, look at that, guys. Every once in a while, blind squirrel finds a nut. And look at this. This is what I was worried about. They got nails here in these trims that I wasn't gonna be able to just like unscrew. Luckily for me, I got my nice little Martinez titanium pry bar. I should knock on wood. This so far has been a pretty easy, and I feel like people watching this video might be like, I ain't never had a remodel job that easy where things were level or plumb and nails weren't even in and they were just coming out like a dream. Well, you know what? Sometimes it happens. Sorry about the wind in the mic too, guys. It got breezy today. We're just gonna save all these fasteners, even though I'll probably put in some new ones. Like, I'll put screws in here. I won't even use these nails. All right, so in order to get off this base trim, which is definitely in our way, we need to remove enough of this wainscot, which thankfully, the piece of trim up here lines up with the piece of trim down on the bottom. So let's go ahead and zip these all out. Obviously, if you plan on reusing all these materials, you got to be very delicate. You don't just come in here and start ripping things out and destroying it. You want to try to take your time. And hopefully, the last guys use screws, not nails, because that makes it a lot easier. I never did understand why a crew would use nails and screws. Like, if you have screws, it's not like they're that much more money. Maybe they are, I don't know. I never really understood that. Screw just makes more sense. Okay, let's see. I gotta take one more piece off. Oh wait, before you do it, here. Always, guys, great idea. Make a mark right where those trims are, even though we should have holes to line up. That way, when you're putting it all back together, you can hit the exact same points, and it just makes it easy. You don't have to do any thinking. Like, oh yeah, I marked right where the trim was. I'll put it right back there, and we'll just go back to town. Good work, man.
Obey the grain.
Obey the grain.
I don't know, where's my hammer?
Be one with the wood. You need a hammer?
Yeah.
I've always found too that remodels, they're really not that hard. Like I said, just think about how can I get this to an easy point of rework and just start doing something. Usually whenever I do a remodel, I end up getting, well, I sometimes will get just a little bit worked up in the detail. Like, how am I gonna do this? How's this gonna work? What's gonna happen when I pull this board off? Well, you're never gonna find any of those things out until you just do it. So sometimes it's best just to start and just do something. Like literally doing something will usually get your brain going to figure out what to do next. Okay. Okay, there you go. Let's take that piece of trim off.
Oh, there's one underneath that trim. You see that?
No way. Oh, what in the world? It can't always be that easy, you know? There's got to be a little bit of struggle. Well, sometimes the heads break and you just, you know, just run with it. So now that we kind of got this stuff out of the way, I can go ahead and make these cuts and start working on my framing. Those are some marks because when I make this, look what happens. You know, it just sags down. So this will allow me to know when I go do my framing, boom, that's where it goes. All right. This down here is going to be a little tricky because I'm not going to be able to take my saw and do a whole lot, but I am going to go ahead and get myself a little bit of a cut to start. We don't want whitewood sitting on concrete, so we're just taking a, did I not cut it big enough?
I don't think so, buddy.
Well, I guess I wasn't thinking 8 inches, you know? Look at the wane on the side of these boards,
I know,
dude.
it's awful.
They all were.
Whoever picked them out did a terrible job.
It's all good, dude. I can promise you it's gonna be just fine. All right, we're back. Let's get these screwed in here. I'm assuming it's gonna go somewhere right about there, but let's just double check.
Don't assume.
Never assume. It's gonna be like right against it, ain't it?
Pretty much.
We probably could just go pretty much against it, but we'll see. Okay, I should be able to get those screws in if you hold them where you want them. Good? So because we're not going to be taking all this steel off, hopefully, we're going to need to fasten the front side of this stiffener that's going to go on the top of our door, and we won't have access to that unless we remove all this steel. So we're going to try to pre-assemble it and then just hopefully slide it into place. Oh, and then hopefully, oh no, this is...
That's not what we want.
I don't know. I thought the right thing, but clearly not. I need you to, there.
Just take
it out.
Take it down.
I got it.
Yep.
I got it.
Yeah, 2 3/4.
So maybe you didn't do it right.
2 3/4.
Okay, so maybe we just didn't need to make the turn.
You good?
Come my way.
Okay.
Okay, easy.
Yeah, easy.
Easy peasy. All right, now we gotta make sure these are lined up. I'd say we're good. Good?
Yep.
All right, so now that we did that, we don't have to fasten it from the backside. We just need to pull this apart, Greg, and we need to get some fasteners in here. I'm gonna do this first.
Go up.
It's just keep going. A little more. A hair more if you got it, just a hair. Yep, good.
You know I got it.
I know you got it, man. Nice work. Here, take this. All right, we're just gonna do some toe nailing and fastening over here to get this somewhat secured. Hey, Greg, you got a block for me or something, just a scrap? Yeah, give me one of those 2x8 scraps, like the smaller one. There. So now this is a nice and sturdy header. I do need to get a fastener out there. Now what we need to do is deal with this guy down here, which we're gonna need to do a little bit of Sawzall work because we can't get our circular saw tight against that ground there. This is what worries me, Greg, because if we don't have a nice clean cut, then the threshold's not gonna sit.
Well, I guess you better do a pretty good job, huh?
I didn't bring my Sawzall, and look what my customers got for me. I mean, thankfully he had this
That's
for
a
me to
vintage
use,
Sawzall.
but we got a 20 volt with the old XRP adapter. Huh. Jeez.
You want to juice it up a little bit?
We got a flex volt.
You want a power stack battery?
Well, a little smaller, you know. Here, hold that. That's his. Make sure he gets it back.
Yeah.
More importantly, make sure I get mine off the off the Sawzall. Why is this so loose? All right, let's flip this around. This will allow me to get a little bit straighter and tighter to the ground. Okay, Greg, come over here and hold this. The vibration is making my cut not work very well.
My ears.
This is where it's gonna be a little bit fun, Greg, because I wanna follow the concrete, but also I'm gonna have to be out here. And
Do you want to take the multi-tool and do a couple plunges so you can get your blade through and then...
so we have two options. Option one is I cut this all the way out, all the way down, and then don't know what I'm gonna do then, actually. See, it's a double grade board.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So, yeah, there's really not gonna be a whole lot there. We're gonna need to do some additional framing anyway, just to hold this, because this is gonna just move around. Let's just wing it, man, you know? Let's get the multi-tool. Let's make one cut out so I can start my cut. I can already tell I'm probably gonna mess it up. Could I set a nail or something that I'm never gonna be able to see this. Yeah, this is so close to the ground. What I found is you can't push hard. That's when the blade gets wonky. You gotta kind of let the blade just do it.
You're a little high.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna run it, Greg. I'm actually not going to worry about that at all, Greg. I think we'll dry fit this door.
Yeah?
Well, this looks a little high, but I also remember
There's a low spot in the middle.
yeah, I probably need to take that out right there. Just a little bit. Ooh, that's not bad. Probably good enough.
I mean, I guess that works.
Yeah, one more, Greg, up. Ah, the multi-tool, the remodeler's best friend. Even though it's not perfect. Well, now we have at least our opening. We still have a little bit of framing to do to fill this all in, but before we go any further, let's set our door in, make sure that it fits the opening, that it sits relatively well on the ground and is relatively plumb. So let's do that. Okay, this is a Plyco 20 series commercial door. Pretty darn nice. They're not the thermally broken doors that we typically would use on like a nice, well, I want to say nice shop. It's just, these doors are significantly cheaper and probably just fine for a application like this. Okay, right there, go ahead and lean her in. So, just as it sits, I just wanted to see kind of, I won't really be able to do it very well, but I mean, it's sitting plumb right there. I think we're fine, dude. I don't see any, you know, we're gonna put a sealant down there, but I don't see any like major light. Let me look outside. That threshold sits down pretty good. What I'm looking for, guys, is, you know, if I cut this poorly, the last thing I want is for this sill to be like bubbled up. Remember I had that high spot in the middle. I don't want it to be bubbled up because then it's gonna not close very well. Or if it's tilted, water could get on here and run back. So I wanna make sure that this is as good as possible so the door performs well. But I think we're pretty good. So let's pull it out, Greg. Let's finish the frame and then we should be able to set it. Whew. This guy we're gonna reuse because we need to, it's not bad because there's dirt around it, but we're gonna go ahead and set a couple screws, tap cons into the concrete and get a block here to hold this so it's not rattling around, where every time you close the door, it doesn't shake everything. We're at where this is kind of like a regular install. So we're just doing the things that we would on every door frame, is we're gonna fill in these blockings, 15 3/4. So we have a nice solid surface for our fasteners. That's a little loose. I'll use that right there. Whenever there's anything like this in the board, I always, on door framing specifically, I always try to get the nicest, cleanest edge to the inside because that's where my fasteners are gonna go. And I'd hate to end up putting a fastener right where something like that is. Something to consider. 16 and a 16th. Now sometimes it's easier to just take all this metal off, and I do struggle with that because I know that in the end it's probably less like hassle once you just take it off, but it's also nice just to leave it there because when you take things off, they always inevitably get damaged or scratched or something. Not that this metal is at all perfect, but also it's nice just to cut things exactly where you want it. But being that we have these like 15-foot tall sheets going all the way up, we've got electrical that is for the door opener in the way. We've got doors that the trim is, or it's cut around the trim around the doors. It's just like, we'll just get the door installed. We'll cut it exactly where we want it to be. And then hopefully we can tuck our trims and make everything work. Just know you can take off your steel, and it probably would be easier if you've never done this. It might make your job a little bit easier. That's the framing. Greg is off looking for some tap cons so we can secure this. So I'm thinking it's probably good enough I could probably set this door. One thing I'm going to do is, because that steel is still there, it will inevitably in this wind flap around. I'm gonna try to get it away from the door so that it doesn't affect me, but also I'll show you a little trick. So up here, to get this away from my door so that it's not constantly hitting it, I'm going to, oh, that board is sticking out pretty good. It's okay. We're gonna come in here like this. So now that block is gonna serve two purposes. It's gonna keep this metal from slapping against my door, and also, when I put my door in, it's gonna hit this and it's gonna stop right where it's supposed to be. So, especially when you're by yourself, I always use this block method. All right, so what we're gonna do here is I just took a piece of the grade board that was just cut out, and I cut myself a little block nice and square, and I'm just gonna set this down on the ground here. And the reason I'm doing this is just to provide a little bit more solid security here, because this, you can see it. I mean, it's just basically being held in by the grade, and I wanna make sure that it stays nice and tight to my concrete, nice and solid. Actually not bad for like probably 25-year-old concrete, you know? Greg's gonna come in from the outside, but now we got a nice solid and sturdy jam, which I think is always important. All right, next thing we're gonna do now is just gonna kind of make sure this opening is pretty clean. This is low right here, I can see it right here. So we're gonna use some Sashco through the roof. Now you might be like, bro, we're not on the roof. This is basically Lexel, which sticks to anything. The nice thing about this is that if you're on a roof, obviously, and this is not, you know, a pitch for Sashco, but this stuff is basically Lexel, sticks to anything, and it also increases the application temperatures, which on a roof, it can get very hot, so it doesn't puddle. But in this application, we just need something that's gonna be very good and sticky and tacky, but not get hard, and then crack through movements, and then let water in. So this will stay malleable, and it lasts 20 times longer than asphalt roof cement, so whatever. I just happen to have a through the roof tube in my truck. Normally I would just use Lexel, but this is Lexel on steroids, so we're actually good. What in the heck?
Okay, so you went on the
Oh, my phone's ringing, dude. Here, you go and do that.
Sure it is.
I got a phone call. Oh, it was spam, dude. Oh, you got it? Okay.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Okay, I had to answer my phone, dude. When you're running a business, you always have to answer your phone, Greg.
It's funny, I didn't hear you say, hello, this is Kyle.
No, it was a spam account. It said telemarketer spam. So why would I answer it? Because we probably don't have a perfectly flat ground here, I recommend using an abundance of this so that it can fill any low spot. It will never get super hard, but it will hopefully prevent any water. This is, I think, is it even 4 inches? 3.5. So what I'm going to do is just take my square. Just gonna give myself a little 3.5-inch line. And this is just so I don't extend my sealant too far. So we're gonna go up. We can always take this out, so we're just gonna fill this up. That's my low spot, I can see it in the concrete. Do your best, caulk the rest.
Ready?
Yep, buddy. Bring her in. You should have framing to hit everywhere except for this corner that I can reach. So you shouldn't go too far.
You got the bottom?
Whoa, 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 don't set it down, don't set it down. Right about, okay, go ahead and tilt her in.
Okay. We're gonna need to go over to the...
Nope, just hang tight. That right there is about centered on the bottom. So I'm just checking for the spacing to be equal on the bottom. Now what we can do is we'll get some shims, we'll fasten it, and I don't have shims. But you see that? See how those blocks keep me from doing any damage? Greg, I'm gonna go ahead and put screws in, and we will get some shimming. Hopefully I'll find some, or maybe there's some laying around here at the shop. So we got the hardware pack. Did you have a square bit or no?
Give me a sec.
You got one? Oh, dude, that's the one I was looking for, the double-sided square. Heck yeah. All right, let me take this level. My drill. So the hinge is on this side. This is the side I'm always going to kind of mess with first. Let's flip this over. We need to go to the right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a screw over here first, and I'm not going to go crazy tight, but you'll notice I have a couple different screws. I've got different sizes and I've got different colored heads. These 4 big ones, they go in the outside jamb with a nice painted head. So that's what I need to do first. Okay, I'm not going to over tighten it. I've got a hole that I hit. So this screw is actually going through the metal and out a hole on this side, and that's what kind of keeps it, I guess, strong. You know, it's not just like coming through the face here and then willy-nilly like a steel door. I've actually gotten away many times without any shims on steel doors because they are pretty solid when we get all these screws in. And then we're going to be putting trims on the outside. We're going to be putting some framing stuff on the inside. But we'll have to do some shimming in here. Okay, so I need to go just a little bit more. So I'm just kind of inching this over, looking for plumb. All right, I'm gonna leave that there, which means now I'm gonna come back to this side, put this screw in without sucking it in super tight. And this will be where I start with the door, and we'll open it up and make sure it closes. And we just want to cross our fingers that that actually does happen. I hope it opens and closes decent. We might have to do a little bit of work, I don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna be hitting this jam.
Well, that's fine, that's easy. Let me just take a look at it. Okay, hinge screw needs to get done. So now what we'll do, leave this open. What we've got is we're hitting the top right here, which that's usually a pretty easy fix. Usually this shim here, or this hinge, needs to get sucked over.
Looks like you need to come my way, like into the jam. Actually,
I don't think so. I think you're blind. Looks pretty good to me. I asked you, but I looked at it with my own eyeball and was like, that looks pretty good. So we're never over tightening any of this. So I just go till I feel like it's starting to pull the frame. Let's see what we got, buddy. Okay, we're still hitting, wait, we're sitting in down at the bottom? Yep, it's okay, so hinge down at the bottom. This is kind of the beauty of a remodel where you don't have a perfectly flush bottom or perfectly flat, because what can happen is if you can plumb the door, but if the bottom is out of level and it takes your jambs and does this sort of thing, it can make the install a little bit different. And sometimes you're married to this. Like, I'm not gonna change this, it's close enough. So I might have to shift the door jambs out of plumb just slightly to make it close as good as possible. Go ahead, big dog. Hit it, dude. Let me take a look at the reveals, because these are brand new seals. So I'm looking here, just making sure. You can see right here, it looks to me like this side is potentially just slightly lower than this side.
Which makes sense, because when you put this screw in,
Yep,
you pulled it over this way.
That's right. But I'm looking at this here, okay? The middle needs to come out just a little bit this is a little bit thicker here. But other than that, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna look on the bottom, and I'm looking across this reveal. I don't see anything that sticks out. It looks pretty good. I'm getting a good seal. And this side is pretty dang good as well. So really all I need to do is get some shims in here. I've got one more screw somewhere. Actually, I don't know where it's at. I need to find it. But that'll get screwed right through this plate, and I'll get a shim here for, maybe it's right, oh yeah, it's right here. This guy right here. This will get screwed in, but I kind of need a shim there. All right, Greg, let's put the doorknob in. I feel pretty good about this. You can work on that. We'll need to get some shims in here, but let's get the outside all finished up. And that's kind of the fun part, because we didn't take the steel off. We got to do a little bit of, I don't know, it's a little extra work, but it ain't bad. So the nice thing is, now that this door is in, I can see exactly where I need to cut my trims. So basically I need to take this rib off. So I'll grab my shear, I'll take that rib off, and I can also figure out where I'm gonna take it up here, which I probably need my ladder. Down here, same sort of thing. I'm gonna take it off right there. So I can start to get this all cut back pretty darn easily. Dang, look at that nice cut. Heck yeah, buddy. Heck yeah. Okay, now what I need to do, Greg, is get a, cut my tape, sorry. I need to know how far to cut it. So if we're going to be basically here, I need to go back 1.5 inches from here. We're gonna assume that that's...
Edge of rib?
Yeah, that's my assumption. So, here.
Can you just go below that line?
Yeah. It's all right. I'm way low, dude. I'm way low. I'm fine. Okay, there's that. Nice. All right. All right, now we got the steel cut back. We'll go ahead and pull our blocks. We'll go ahead and tape this off just so water that comes back won't go into this crack. It's good practice. And then we'll put our J channels on. So this is just one of the extra things that we do, guys, because this is gonna get a piece of J channel and we're not gonna caulk it. I'm not a fan of caulk when you don't really need it. This will just give us a little bit more protection. If water does get behind the J channel, it'll not be sitting on wood. It will get hopefully dried out before it does any damage. I mean, that's what our hope is. Now we're going to take this used J channel that still is going to be just fine for what we're doing here. It matches the building. I'm going to line this up with the bottom of my door. That's how I figured it. See if we can't get a nail in here. Yeah, that's not good. Yeah. I guess, I don't think so. Maybe it's this board down here. Let me go a little higher. So we can't get necessarily behind this steel with a nail. So I'm just gonna nail as high as I can, and we're gonna end up putting a screw through this steel into this J channel. But that'll lock that on there. All right, Greg, throw that in there. Make sure we're at the same height if you cut yours at 81. All right, you can go ahead. Put that, wait, we want to get our base on first? Yep, here, pull that back. Let's just get a quick measurement. We're looking for like 23 inches.
You're ugly.
That's fine. everybody has an opinion, and I'm entitled to mine, just like you're entitled to yours. Okay, go ahead and take your trim in. Yeah. And we'll just put our bottom wainscot screws in and tuck that trim in perfect, you know. I'm gonna need to get some new screws, but for now, I'm gonna put these ones back in. Okay, that'll tack that in for now. I'll get more there. Now we need to get our wainscot trim on. You can see we're just kind of working our way up. Should be able to slide it back up in here like it was. There. So we just line up with our old holes. Greg's getting the J channel for the top, so I can go ahead and get this guy cut. Which we're looking at 35 and an 1/8. This guy's all dented up, so might as well use this good one. Should be cut right on the rib. In there. Looks like about 56 and a half. 56 and a half. Yep, there's our line. We're good there. Okay, that'll at least hold that in for now so we can get our wainscot trim finished up. So you can fit it in there.
Oh.
All right, go ahead now.
Over tuck it, he says.
Go over enough. All right, now come back. Right there.
Yep.
Yep, just putting new screws in, man. Here we go, last piece of the puzzle here is this top J. So we're gonna stay just under 3/4. Start right here. Now obviously, one of the things I always stress is this little notch. You see how it's higher than where my trim is actually gonna go? That's so any water that comes down into my J is gonna go here and go out, instead of, if you cut it like this, all that water gets funneled right into your building from behind the steel. So just take note of that, it's important. All right, Greg, I need your help, buddy.
What's up?
You put this screw in.
Yep.
Right there, hit it, hit the back. Nice. Don't ever stand on the top of a ladder, kids. There you go. We got a nice remodeled new door install. And honestly, guys, it's quite simple, really, because all you have to do is get this to a point where it's like you're installing the new door, and it's just like installing a new door. So don't overstress or, you know, worry about what you're gonna do to put a new door into an existing building. It's not that hard. Try to make it as level and plumb as possible, and you should be just fine. So if you guys enjoyed this, hit the thumbs up. I know we've done door installs before, but people always ask about remodeled jobs because not everybody's building new. They're kind of rehabbing old stuff. So hopefully this helped you. And if it did, hit the thumbs up. Maybe hit the subscribe button if there's, you know, any desire to see more construction content. And we'll catch you on the next video.